I want to talk to you today about what I one time referred to as all-stars, and then I changed that to low-rent all-stars. The original group that I called all-stars were, let's say the original group worked in as waitresses. Let's just take off with the very first one. I was a young man, and I frequented a local restaurant. Actually, it was a bar and a restaurant, and I wasn't old enough to be in the bar side when I started going there. Occasionally I would slip over to the bar side before I turned 21, but didn't do that very often. And this particular lady that I'm talking about, I never did it when she was there, and she was there. But she was the original low-rent all-star. Her name was Sula Brewster. And she was, I don't know whether, I'm not going to call her elderly, but she was, I was, 18, 19 years old, and she was probably older than my mother. But she had command of that place. And she was good at what she did, and I think she could run the whole place by herself. She could have cooked, tended the bar, waitress, everything. Because, she knew what was going on, and she was just all over it. The next one that I can think of, and I can't think of her name, she worked at the local Subway. You know what they do in Subway, they're back there behind that counter, and they have to do all kinds of things. They can deal with the bread, they can deal with the meat, they can deal with the vegetables, they can deal with collecting the money, and they have to do all that and deal with the public while they're doing it. That's what she did, and she was exceptionally good at it. All these people are unusual, and there's not very many of them. I'm 73 years old. When this story started today, I was about 19 or 20. So that's a span of 50-some years, and this list is not very long. Fast food restaurant people. Hard to find a good help in a fast food restaurant. And later on, I thought I could not in any way, shape, or form omit Sula Brewster from the list once I started the list. So this little redheaded girl, she was the first from the Subway. But not too long after her, there were twins named Stags, and no, they aren't like the Henry twins. These are real people, and they were identical twins. I couldn't ever tell them apart. One of them's name was Jared. I can't remember the other one's name. But and I can't even tell you this for sure, I think they both worked in the Subway. But it may have only been one of them. But it was either one of them or both of them. If it was one, he was an all-star. If it was two, they were both all-stars, in my way of thinking. And that's what we're talking about here, my way of thinking. We had a burger chef here in Bedford. I think Hardee's bought them out. When Hardee's did, they took over all the burger chefs and they became Hardee's. Except for two. There was one here in Bedford and one at Seymour, and we already had a Hardee's franchise in both those places, and those I don't know, there may have been four. But those places become a restaurant called Pleasers. They had two all-stars there. One of them's name was Tammy, and the other one, Indy Scott was her name. Both those girls were all-stars. They could have run the whole place. They didn't, but they could have, and very often they were doing three people's work while a couple others were standing around picking their nose. Two more all-stars. Then there's the local Captain D restaurant. I don't know whether Captain D's a nationwide chain or not, but it's a fish and chip chain, kind of like Long John Silver's. And probably the all-star of all-stars worked there. Her name was Bobby. She may still work there. I don't know. She married the manager several years ago. But she could have run the whole place too. I think she could have cooked and waited on everybody, run the drive-through and wiped the tables and mixed the drinks and did everything. Uh, in fact, I've seen her do all of that at one time except cook. Uh, Everything that had to be done on the outside, she was doing it, running it. Bobby was her name. She was probably the ultimate of all these people, all-star. And I think that's probably it, of the ones I can think of. There's probably one or two I should be mentioning and haven't. These people were working in minimum wage or maybe less, but probably never more than minimum wage jobs. And they did that work like they owned the business. They were on it like a duck on a June bug, and the customer was the most important thing in the world to them, and quality service was what they did. I said all that to say this, and I hadn't seen an all-star in a lot of years. I can't remember the last time I came home and told Betty I had an all-star candidate. Here in maybe the last year, a little more than a year, I've identified another one, and she's in another line of work, so she's not a restaurant. But I want to talk about her. Put this up here. Can you see what that is? That's a squirrel. And the reason I got that squirrel up there is that's what I call this person I'm going to talk about. I don't think I ever will tell you what her name is. I'm just going to call her Squirrel. And I didn't always call her Squirrel. In fact, I didn't even call her Squirrel in the beginning. She named herself Squirrel after I said she was squirrely. She works at the White River Arts and Antiques Mall. I think that's the name of it. It's south of here, just across the White River. I have a booth there where I sell the kind of stuff I sell. And she works there part-time. Those girls that work in there, I don't know if any of them get paid. I think they probably trade booth rent or something like that for wages, because they've all got stuff for sale in there too, the ones that work here. This particular one, I was leaving there one day and she was over there behind the counter, and I was walking out, and I was probably from here to over yonder away from her, 10-15 feet between us at least. And I said something about her being squirrely. Well, she walks around with a chip on her shoulder, and she thought that I was being critical of her, saying something I shouldn't say. And boy, she put her hands on her hips and looked at her jaw, and she said, "Did you just call me a squirrel?" And I said, "No, I didn't call you a squirrel. I said you're squirrely." And she was still, the blood was coming up in her neck, and I said, "Just calm down, because that's a compliment." And I began to tell her, I said, "Did you ever watch a squirrel? A squirrel can hardly ever sit still. They're always moving. Even when they're not moving, their tails are moving. And they're over here looking for a nut, or over here bearing a nut, or taking leaves up to the nest, or running around on the ground. Even when they're not doing something constructive, they aren't still. They're pestering one another. They is on the ground, you come along, scared them up a tree, and then they're sitting up there chattering at you, because that's just how squirrels are, and that's how you are," is what I told her. And I said, from my perspective, that's a compliment, that you're like a squirrel. Well, after I told her that, she kind of liked the concept of her being a squirrel, and so she started calling herself Squirrel. I didn't realize that she was proud of being a squirrel until one day some people called me and they said Squirrel sent us to you. And I said, Squirrel? And then it dawned on me who it was. And every time she sends somebody to me, she tell them that Squirrel come out here. I got my great grandson. He went to Oxford with me the other day, and I said something about her. He said, "Isn't she Squirrel?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I thought that was." He calls her Squirrel. But she is one of those people that goes the extra mile. She runs that. She acts when she's there. She does like that business is her business, like she's the owner, and things need to be happening. And she don't just sit back there behind the counter waiting for somebody to come up there and say, "I want to buy this." If there ain't nobody coming around to buy something, then she's out there sweeping, or she's over here dusting somebody's booth off for them, or she's over here straightening something up that got somebody was looking at things and got it messed up. She's straightening it back up, or she's out front doing something like that. One thing or another like that. Things that need to be done, she's doing it. She's not sitting around idle. Now, I probably cause her to sit around idle some when I'm coming out, because I'll sit there and talk to her. But even when she's talking to you, it's a productive kind of thing. Like, what can we do to make things, the business better? Or, did you see this thing happen the other day? What do you think of that? How much should we charge for this kind of a thing or that kind of a thing? And she goes out of her way to promote the people in there. And I know it, because I make more money there because of her than I would if she wasn't there. She sends people out here to me. She sends them out here to have me make things for them. She sends them out here because they couldn't find what they wanted there, and she thought I might have it out here. People come in there and they show an interest in something. She's over trying to sell it to them. She's encouraging them. She's pointing out things. Rare individual. Low rent all-star. She's on the list of low rent all-stars. In fact, I don't know, Sula Brewster was always my favorite low rent all-star until now, but I think Squirrel's my favorite low rent all-star of all time right now. And she's not just like that at work. She's like that in everything that she does. And she's industrial. I don't know how many different part-time businesses that her and her husband run, but several of them. They cut and sell wood. He works on small engines and chainsaws. She buys and sells them on the side. They're just any number of things that she does. She's just the kind of person that you want if you're running a business. And so I'm saying, and I said at the start of this, pay attention. I recognize these people from paying attention, and I see them out there. And I want to mention two things about it. The first thing is, these people are in your life too. I don't know if you're paying attention or not, but if you're paying attention, there's people in your life, in your world, in your realm, doing things that you're interested in that are above and beyond. They're head and shoulders above other people that do that same kind of thing. And if you're paying attention, you've noticed it. I'm going to tell you, when you notice somebody like that, go out of your way to tell them, "Hey, I noticed that you're an exceptional, whatever it is they are. You're an individual that takes this above and beyond normal, and I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate how you are." That's number one. Number two is keep that list in the back of your head, because some of you people might run your own business. Some of you people might have other interests and things where you're going to hire an employee. If you're going to hire an employee, these are the kind of people that you want to hire. And I don't mean if you want to hire somebody to run your antique mall. I know she can do that. But this little woman can she can do anything because of what's in her. And so pay attention, recognize those people, and make a list of them. If you don't need somebody like this ever, you're going to come across somebody sometime that says, you know, I'm looking for somebody to do this, or I'm looking for somebody to do that, or I've got a business and I need this. And then you got that person in your head. You can do two people a favor at once. You can help that person that's looking for something, and you can help that person. You can say, I know somebody that's perfect for what you want. Do those two things. And I said two things. I think I'll add three things to it. And I'm not adding this for everybody. I'm adding this for young people. If you're a young person out there and you're just now getting old enough to pay more attention, when you identify what successful people do, that's what you should try to do. And let them be your example. If you like this video, like it, subscribe, share, and if you like this one, there's one out there called Basketball, Beautiful People, and No Bake Cookies, I think is the name of it. It's much like this one. It's about some couple of young girls, one of them especially that was unappreciated, and I went out of my way to try to tell her that I appreciated her. I do appreciate these people. I appreciate people that no matter what they're doing, they try to do the best that they can, and they work and endeavor and strive to be the best and to help others through their efforts. I'm a hard times guy. Till the next time.